got some more work done. I lost my tie somewhere in the shuffle, but I'm working on a new one over there as we speak. Welcome back. I'm Bren Krasmer, and this is A D4 is Not a Caltrop, Episode 3, Why You Should Suck Somehow. I know a lot of people are already bristling somehow at that simple phrase, you should suck somehow. Now, I know that goes against what many people believe about how a game should feel, but as a GM and as a player, I know one thing more than anything else in terms of interpersonal relationships at the table. The guy who can't be challenged always becomes that guy. Now, if you don't know what I mean by that guy, then let me just quick define the term. A that guy is somebody who you can just refer to as that guy with a proper level of venom in your voice, and everyone who knows that guy from that circle will remember him and shudder involuntarily at the memory. The guy who will exploit loopholes in rules and can quote obscure rules verbatim when they benefit him, of course. That guy will make everything about him and his character just because a thing had the audacity to occur in front of him. Just because in his mind, there is nobody more important to the party. That fucker will Shanghai a party into doing his bidding, and will actively fight other party members who oppose him and try to win, because that's all he's ever known in a game. Half the time, everyone's just too nice to call him out and say, fuck you. Or they'll want to try and beat him and try and face his tactics and Shanghai them back into line, and it never works. Nobody wants to play with that guy, and nobody wants to be the one to say, get out. Now, not every group has a singular, that guy. Some of the people will tell you that they don't like person B, and person B will have band together a few other people and point fingers at someone else in the first group, and everyone will have their own reasons to call out Guybrush or Narcissus Prince or whoever, but it will either boil down to a difference in personality or some conduct at the table. Now, I don't know you, so I can't help with a difference in personality. But what I'm trying to do here is to help people understand how conduct at the table can grind gears worse than a truck with a faulty clutch. And a big way to do that is to center stage yourself in the game and steal the show from everyone else. And how do you do that? By being Superman. If you can't find yourself in a situation that you can't use your abilities to your advantage, and you throw absurdly potent successes in those situations, then every situation lands in your wheelhouse. Bandits? I can talk them down. Dragon? I can negotiate a treaty between him and the town. City problems? Well, by controlling my dear sweet meaty Jesus levels of knowledge, I can write the city laws to be more economically viable toward the rioting class of the people, while incentivizing the other classes of people to be more public-minded. Hey, what can I do with the diplomacy and knowledge? And I gain bonuses to both these skills because I can grant myself a potent yada fight. At this point, what's the point of anyone else in the party? At this point, go home and write a book. You have, at this point, robbed the other people at the table any creative input to the game. Even the GM. Yeah, he's the one feeding you inputs as what pops out of the woodwork, but the powerhouse is the one determining who gets stage time when, and how the pacing of encounters will go. Just because he can whip out a big-ass die roll in order to bog down progression whenever it tries to go in a direction that he doesn't want it to go. And yeah, that sounds like an amazing thing to be able to do at a table. Stop. Even if you can regularly make yourself into the guy with mega cock who can knock people out just by turning left too fast, put yourself into the shoes of any of the other people sitting at the table. Imagine that end of the equation for a moment. Imagine counting the ceiling tiles for a fucking hour while some hunt bag across the table has spent the last half a goddamn hour trying to figure out how many cock-chugging dice he needs to throw to find what kind of astronomical bonus he gets to a single fucking knowledge roll. He's denied everyone a chance to have any kind of influence on his actions because he's a show-stealing fucknugget who's absolutely cock-fucking sure that he's going to have the best shot of doing everything by himself, and he will tell you to shut up before you finish voicing any kind of opinion on the proceedings. This imaginary guy that you're imagining, you have the strong physical urge to show him out the door on a ballistic trajectory right now, don't you? Yeah, you probably do. And it's now one of my own house rules that if you can't throw me a dice roll within 10 minutes of telling me you want to do a thing, you don't get to do the thing. This also prevents a 7th level cleric from rolling a 73 on a goddamn knowledge planes check. Honestly, by all rights, he should have had at most a 35 on a nat 20. Plus 5 from intelligence, 7 from ranks, 3 for class skill, and that leaves him garnering another 42 somehow from the library and assistance, and I don't even know how he shored up the odds anymore. I just remember it took him a fucking hour to start throwing dice, and the only thing after that came back to mind is he rolled a 16, and that somehow resulted in a 73. It's fucking bullshit. If you want a power trip, go play Call of Modern War Battlefield 12 or something. Some game where your whole point is you being the sole abettor of success in a field of adversity. Or write a short story, or a novel if you get the traction. But when you're at the table, you need to be able to sit back and let somebody else spearhead something. Or at the very least come to a point where a challenge is actually keeping you from progressing in the way that you want to. And the best way to do that is to have some Achilles heel. Roll a rogue who can sneak with the best, pick a lock with a stray toothpick, lift a bowling ball from somebody's purse without them noticing, or make a cleric who bumbles his way through encounters with people when it doesn't involve injury and the care thereof, or a barbarian with a lackluster strength score. See, when you have a hole in your auxiliary functions, you'll have to rely on someone else to shine. It gives an open space for a GM to throw a challenging moment, and therefore to throw a plot hook to drag you into slightly diversionary tasks, giving the GM an opportunity to tag you with what would be considered a disadvantage, like a wanted level from some government or guild house, or a missing family or clan member, or a debt to pay, or a phobia, or a skeleton in the closet, or a restriction on... This list can go on for quite some time, I hope you know. But if you hand over some opening to be quote-unquote exploited, you have an opening that has to be filled by other players, or some guideline that prevents you from approaching tasks in certain ways. This lets you have challenges that are more personal, and lets other players come in and have an influence, even in your character's personal struggles. Struggles beget investment. If you're spearheading the actions of the party, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a delicate balance to hold. If you're denying the rest of the party agency, then it's a problem. So here's the test for you. When a decision's about to be made, and even if you have a great, prime, superb A+ with a triple gold star idea on how you should progress, look at the rest of the table and say,
I got nothing.
If at that point they open a discussion and start pressing each other for opinions or presenting options, then start asking, what do you guys think, a little bit more often, or a lot more often. The more you invite someone else to shine, the more options are available to you. Even if you know what a rogue should be able to do in a cleric's basic function. And all sorts of rules involving that limited scope of things. There are two basic things you overlook when you forge ahead with a plan you concoct in your head without other input. First, if you have any player who is new to the system, you're denying them the chance to learn, to play, to experiment with questions and the plausibilities of options. Why must you do things a certain way? Why can't the wizard blast the dragon with a mind-altering hallucination? Why can't the cleric throw a divine might down on the barbarian? Or what keeps a ranger from slinging a crossbow up the mountain and starting an avalanche down onto the camp you're trying to overrun? This leads to a discussion of rules, a chance for people to explain some of the intricacies of some of these rules, and why can't we throw a crossbow bolt up 1,000 feet of the mountain, set off an avalanche? I mean, it would take a knowledge geography or a knowledge nature check, a really good attack roll, and some decent stealth tactics, but that might be an avenue worth exploring. And that leads me to second. You know how the standard barbarian functions. You know how a standard rogue, standard cleric, standard wizard, standard insert class here works. But you don't know the exact specifications of how this wizard, barbarian, alchemist, gunslinger, acrobat functions. What specific feats have been taken, what traits, what drawbacks, what equipment, what personality and preferences and dislikes are held by this specific character. It's not your character, and so by deciding what you want them to do, you're making them into a pawn, not a person. Rather than letting multiple people work together, you're forcing them to lockstep with you and take your way or the highway. They're here to play a game. And if they wanted to be told the best way to play, they'd join a fucking MMO. This is a collaborative effort, and you need to let everyone play along and take a stand and lead when something is in a position where they feel comfortable taking command or making a point on a moment. This is not a processing plant. It's a story. There's no 100% right answer to anything that comes forth. When bandits come piling out of the bushes, talking them down, that's an option. Pulling an Uncle Iroh on them is awesome, and everybody will be giggling for days because of it. Running for the hills? Yeah, that's an option. It prevents you from getting hurt or losing your supplies. Beating them to a pulp and arresting them all? Hell yeah. Decapitating them and leaving them to rot. Brutal, man. But it's all viable. It's all worthwhile and a fun time to share with friends. And that's what we're here for. Enjoy the table, laugh, make a laugh, and keep yourselves sharing stories for years to come. Be well, everyone. Hi, everyone. It's Bryn Krasmer again. I'm just stopping in after the video. I'm done talking about power gaming or munchkining or whatever. I just want to say that between this episode and the next one, I will be working on setting up a Twitter, some other social media options, and a Patreon. So, next episode I will have links up to all sorts of things for you to get some more constant updates on things I'm in the middle of or working on, or just the nascent thoughts that come from me being who I am, if that's what you so choose. Otherwise, yeah, I know I said I was looking for a job in the update a couple videos back, but I still haven't found one that's been long-standing, so I'm still pretty desperate for cash. I'm figuring out what to do for, like, reward for donations and all of that, and hopefully this will help to get me on my feet and to a place where I can do some more of this stuff more reliably. So yeah, that's the thought. In other news, I'm thinking of branching out into just other things other than just straight, hey, this is what you should and shouldn't do when you're D&Ding. Maybe play some adventure games from my childhood or some other things here and there, just to, share what brought me into existence in some sort of crazy fashion. If you have any ideas, let me know in the comments below, or I may have a straw poll or two up going just to see if anybody is interested in any ideas or have their own thoughts that they want to share, because, hey, if I'm going to be trying to entertain you, I should be entertaining you in ways that you suggest sometimes. So, please, input is always welcome. Thank you. Be well. Again. I'm just going to sit here awkwardly staring at this camera until the video runs out, so click around, explore, do something. High five. No, that's kind of awkward. Don't slap your screen.